presentation with you, but I will tell you that there's nothing more exciting than actually being here on the farm to see the engagement of the students and what actually just physically happens here on the farm from a day-to-day basis. So with that said, I would welcome anyone, to all of you, to come here to the farm and visit with us. I'm going to go through a bunch of slides just kind of talking about who we are, what we do. But again, like I just really find it a challenge to talk about the farm without you really being here. But we're gonna go through and kind of go through the different aspects of the farm itself. So let me just go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Okay, well, we're going to talk about some of the opportunities that are here in the Philadelphia School District. There is a pretty wide range, very vast opportunities for students to be involved in agriculture, though we might not necessarily always deem or kind of stamp all of those pieces with the term agriculture. But we can talk about the high school pieces, which is pretty much found anywhere across the United States, especially here in Pennsylvania. But more specifically, we're going to be talking about an element that kind of feeds across the whole entire district, which is called the Fox Chase Farm. So the Fox Chase Farm is a part of the School District of Philadelphia. We like to refer to the farm as being a hub or a center for experiential learning and just promotion of agriculture literacy. And I say that in terms of the fact that we're not just talking about one element within agriculture. And as we get in and really kind of delve into the different parts of the farm, you'll be able to kind of understand what I mean by that experiential learning and actual promotion. Oh, there we go. All right, so a lot of times when people think about a farm being associated with the school, they might think about farm to school or the farm to table aspect. I like to be able to kind of blend a lot of things together and talk about farm to school, to career, to table. And some people extract from that, oh, you're talking about food systems relationships. Well, we are. And there are so many other elements that we add into that. So we like to think about the farm as being like part of our purpose is really to expose, to engage, to inspire students. But we're doing that all through the use of agriculture. And the ambition here is really for a lot of our students to leave us from the standpoint of being innovation-ready students. So we're going to talk about the ages that we cover. But let's talk a little bit about the farm itself. So when we think about the farm, the Fox Chase Farm is a 112-acre demonstration farm. We run across county lines. If you ask where we're located, typically everybody says Northeast Philadelphia. So if you know the demographics of the farm, that's what most people will put us in that quadrant. The farm is a part of the School District of Philadelphia. The property, though, is owned, this all 112 acres is owned by the city of Philadelphia, but it's leased to the district. And I say that because there's a lot of different aspects to the farm and kind of like how we're used. You will see that the farm is on the National Registry of Historic Places. So the buildings here on the farm, a lot of them are actually dated back to 1832. So it's really fun to talk about agriculture and how it's changed over the years as well. The farm became a part of the school district in around the 1980s is when this whole transition happened. The farm itself has a really unique background when we can go all the way back to William Penn through a variety of families that owned the farm to a developer that was actually ousted by the community to here we are today with the school district being able to use the farm to engage students and families, community members from around the area. And that's just kind of one of our key points, is that we're providing that agricultural and that environmental experience to students through the hands-on learning experience. A lot of people will say, oh, well, are you only servicing Philadelphia School District students? And the answer is no. We're open really to anybody to come in here to the farm and engage through a variety of different ways through the farm itself. So we can talk about what it means to be here on the farm through a school trip, all the way through to like a community activity. Philadelphia itself is really one of the fastest sectors of agriculture that's growing here in the United States with urban ag. So knowing that we are progressively moving and there's this volume, that also means that there's also career opportunities, which is super exciting when we are looking to help connect our students to opportunities. And I'm sure all of you are aware that agriculture is our #1 industry. So being able to connect our students to those opportunities is just super exciting. Programming here on the farm can happen through a number of different ways, or I would say engagement. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the on-site programs that happen here. We're going to be talking about some of our in-school programs, and then also our weekend and community family programs that we have. We like to use this number 30,000. So typically we bring in around 30,000 students throughout the year. So I'm not going to say school year, because the farm never actually closes from the standpoint of we're always working. So there are 30,000 different, we like to say, experiential learning experiences that happen here on the farm. Though it sounds like a really big number, it is so tiny compared to what we're actually looking to be able to reach. And though I don't think we can reach all of our students across the city of Philadelphia here at the farm, I do believe that there's ways in which we can touch those students across the whole entire city. So when we look at the breakdown of our target number, we can say there's close to 200,000 Philadelphia students. They are across almost 330 schools, 329 to be exact. And then I have some numbers broken out of how many public and charter and alternative schools that we have here across the city. When we take into the idea of like the magnitude that we are, we do reference that we're the 8th largest school district in the United States. Though I will tell you, I feel like even though we're big, we're very small. And I relate that to the community standpoint of when we're talking about agriculture and engaging our students. I feel like we are just very, very close knit. And because there are so many different things that we do around the district, our teachers are really grabbing a hold of agriculture education and really making that connections for our students. So all I can say is for us, it's great to be able to take our message and engage people. And this is kind of why I say you really need to come visit the farm, because usually once people see the farm, they take a part of it back with them, and then they expose that to their schools and to their students. So I find it super exciting. I always try to say that I try to temper myself during some of these meetings, because I can be over the top, because I just absolutely love what I do here on the farm. When we see the students engage, and I'm sure all of you, as you've seen young people and community people engaged in the farm, you know that it's life-changing. Whether it's just that one opportunity, maybe it's the first time they've ever touched an animal, or maybe it's the first time they've ever been able to grow a plant on their own, right? It's very empowering. So I'll try to minimize a couple of things here that I go through, but I do feel as though what we do in the world of agriculture, what all of you do in touching and wanting to bring that to our students, is just so super important. We're going to be talking about the connections through that hands-on piece, and some of these photographs kind of bring to light what that might look like, whether it's here on the farm or whether it's within the classroom itself. So we never want to lose like the traditional understanding of what farming is and what agriculture is, but we do want to make sure that we're always adding in the element of technology and talking like across curriculum. I think it's really important for students to understand that when they're learning something, whether it's a math concept or a science concept, even something from literature, they're able to understand the importance and that connection through agriculture itself. One of the things that we're changing here on the farm is the fact that we are connecting our students through diversity and really being able to engage our students to agriculture that's found around the world. I'm sorry, my little slide keeps moving up there on me. And I say that because when our students are coming in, there's 166 languages that are spoken across the district. And that's important to understand because what we have are animals and plants that we have from around the world being brought in here. So when a student comes, they're able to engage with that culture, with that history, but also be able to reflect on themselves as well. We want to be able to reflect our students. So we do that through a number of programs that we run through the farm. So I kind of call this the balancing act. So we see the photograph here. These are two young people on the farm. Last year, they were actually installing a garden here on the farm. One of the most unique things that I see coming into the farm is the fact that we have students that are typically 4 or more generations removed from agriculture. And I'm not sure where all of you fall into that. When you think for yourself, for you, like, are you directly from a farm, or was it your parent or your grandparent? Right? So if you think back for yourself, how long ago was it that one of your family members was actually living on a farm and producing for themselves? So we're trying to take the connection of this food systems relationship, and that's really just one part of it, but bringing it into the hands of our students. And we're doing it through a variety of different programs. So we have our on-farm programs, we have school-based programs going into the schools, we have special education programs that we have through the farm here. We have career technical education of the CTE world. And then we also have the college and career readiness. With that said, just kind of focusing back in on the fact that our students, they come in at all ages, that they run from pre-K through 12th grade, coming in here to the farm, and keeping in mind that we are servicing students that are really from around the world. What does it look like for our programs? And this is kind of where I add in for the balancing act that kind of flows over to what it looks like from a staffing standpoint for us. So the farm is only staffed with, so myself, right? So there's a site administrator here, it's myself. We have a farm educator. We have an assistant for the educator. We have a part-time person who we call them our safety person. They help manage the on and off here of the farm. We have one farmer who manages everything here on the farm, and that's all 112 acres and all the different animals that we have. We have a set of weekend farmers who are here to give our farmer a break. And then we have a variety of volunteers that help out here on the farm as well. And that leads into all the different programs that we have. So the on-farm programs, we have the field trips and tours. And if we were to go back to the early 90s, when the farm was being really established for educational programming, the farm was set up to bring in teachers and their classes. So like right now, if you're a teacher, you would call up and you make a reservation to the zoo, like, oh, I want to bring my students to the zoo. In this instance, the farm was set up that called the farm, oh, can I bring my students to the farm for a field trip? So the origination of the farm was really to support those field trips and tours, and that really started to get off the ground in the early 90s here. I've been here at the farm for approximately 18 years. I've been here, and when I first arrived here to the farm, the farm was set up with just just tours. So at that point in time, there were a little over 3,000 students that came here to the farm. And when we look at where we were to where we are today, you see all these circles here on the screen, all these bullets to where we're now servicing 30,000 students. And we're doing that over 12 months. So there's a lot of pieces that kind of come into play here. The second element that I really want to focus in on outside of our field trips and tours that happen is what we call ag empowerment. I've always said that what I teach here on the farm, it's not rocket science, and it's actually found in curriculum across the United States, but you're never going to see the word agriculture, or even, it's even rare to even see environmental really kind of spoken about across curriculum. But the word agriculture really is kind of missing. Even horticulture, it's missing from the curriculum terminology. But yet what we do is we teach science, we teach math, we do all of that through the world of agriculture. So with that said, I feel like what I've always taught, it's not rocket science, and it can be taught to all ages and all levels of learners. So we created a program called Ag Empowerment. What we do that is just simply, we bring teachers in from across the district. We train them to teach agriculture in their classroom, connecting it to their science curriculum. And then we have them come out here to the farm. We provide what's called off-peak busing. So we bring them here to the farm, and they bring their classes out, and then they use the farm as their living laboratory. It's their extension of their classroom. So they're taking their curriculum, they're adding that hands-on element by being exposed right here to all of those pieces on the farm. So there might be a focus on plant science. There might be a math lesson that maybe it's focused around how to figure out board feet or the lineage of what's needed to actually construct a fence, or putting in looks like a sidewalk or even a garden area, or calculating, how much can be produced in a square foot. There's a whole variety of ways in which it connects to the curriculum, but point being is we train these teachers to teach agriculture in their classrooms, and then we bring them out here with their classes, and they just extend that here to the farm itself. So if you are a part of the Ag Empowerment Program as a teacher, the idea is that you come to the farm every single week with your students. That looks really different depending on the school that you're in, because you might be the science lead in your school, or maybe you're rotating the different grades through to the farm. So you might have, let's say, your first grade class, they might only come to the farm 4 times out of the school year. But maybe, instead of being a science lead, maybe you are the second grade teacher. So now maybe you're bringing your students out every single week, and those students are exposed to agriculture every single week out on the farm. Again, point of the Ag Empowerment is to do just that, empower the teachers with the connections here directly to the farm. And then when they're here, they're able to really just use the elements of their farm as that laboratory piece. So we have a lot of equipment here on the farm that we will train the teachers on ahead of time, but we try to just open the forum for our teachers to utilize their curriculum and connect it to other curriculum pieces to be here. For our on-farm programs, we have community weekends. So usually one Saturday out of the month, we open the farm. And the idea is to bring the community, bring our family members in here to the farm where they can experience the farm. So we have animals that are set up in pens in which you can come in, you can pet the animals, you can see the greenhouse, you can walk through the greenhouse, our orchards. Again, it's really about connecting and educating, just exposing people to the elements here on the farm. Nutrition education. Most schools have nutrition education in their schools. For us, the connection is being able to take our nutrition education that happens traditionally in the schools, where maybe it's just the food tasting that's going on. And some of you, if you're from the education world, You might be familiar with like the Food Trust and different programs that USDA puts on, like SNAP Ed. So we're partnered with our internal school district nutrition education department, and those educators that are in the classroom, we now have connected with them we've trained them, just like the ag empowerment, we've trained them to be here on the farm, but now we're connecting them directly to the farm itself. So again, transporting those classes out that have had the in-class experience directly here to the farm itself. So you can see how all of a sudden we go from where we have one actual full-time educator to now it's like having 70 educators here on the farm, right? And I say 70 because we look at the ag empowerment, we have a lot of teachers trained. I believe we probably have, I want to say close to this year, I believe we have about 60 teachers trained in the ag empowerment program to our nutrition educators where we had 10. So it's very exciting to know that we can have this engagement and again, go out into our schools and then bring them here to the farm. And then the other elements to kind of talk about that are probably almost more traditional to what you would hear in other school programs, college and career readiness. For us, it's about taking high school students, training them to be tour guides here on the farm, and now they're the ones taking those people who are going out on the field trips and the tours when they're here, and they are getting a lot of soft skill exposure, right? So they're taking those teachers and the students that are here for a tour around the farm and doing those tours. We have a program called Senior Year Program. This is very specialized to seniors across the district. Imagine being a senior and never having the opportunity to get into one of the magnet high schools, but yet you have an inkling or an interest in either environmental or urban ag or even animal science. So we open a program called Senior Year Only or SIOP, where we're bringing those students here. We're allowing them to engage. So one day a week, we bring them in here to the farm and we do hands-on engagement with them. So maybe it allows them to be more secure about the fact if they want to go into that career, or maybe they want to go into a college program. It just exposes them. Here on the farm, we do have a farm store. So we have our college, or we have our students running the farm store with our staff here. But you can see there's just many different programs in which we are able to engage our students across the whole entire school district. There's about 15 different ways if you're a high school student, or I'm sorry, if you're actually any student, any age student, there's about 15 different ways in which you can become engaged here at the farm. So we have that college and career readiness, we have the career technical piece, we have our in-school programming, which it's not unusual for organizations to have. We try to take the farm itself, take it into the school. We also try to connect directly with our schools to encourage them to build school gardens, all the way over to our special ed support system that we have, where we act as a work site for what are called itinerant students, right? Students who are the older students who are developing work skills. We have them here on the farm, as well as putting programs into schools where we're helping to green schools, but again, using our special ed students to do that. So training the teachers and the students to engage in that horticultural element within their actual school base themselves. So wide number of things that we have going on. I'm going to flip, I know time-wise, we're going to run out of some time here. I'm just going to flip through, just kind of show you some of the things that happen here on the farm. Project-wise, here's some of our career technical education. Last week, we had a school here coming in to replace our donkey fence. Some of our buildings that are being brought in, because we are a historical site, it's just much easier for us to have portable buildings. So we have electrical students coming in to run all electric in our buildings. So we have programming that happens all year long with these students, and the idea is that we actually employ them over the summer to continue these projects. Some of our on-farm projects that are going on, we have our goats that need sheds. And as we increase the variety of animals that we have here that we find around the world, we obviously need different types of sheds for them, barn renovations that we have going on, new elements that we're adding. In our schools, we look to see what our schools really need. So here was a pollinating garden. This usually the approach for a school, when a school says, hey, we want to put a garden in their school, then we go in, we talk with the schools, try to figure out what it is that they really want and what's going to match the culture of their school. So in this instance, they really wanted to focus on pollination. So we went in and the high school students work with the students of the school, and we try to do a design with them and then actually do the install with them as well. Here was a school in North Philly that we did an installation. Actually was over a 4-year process. So every year the idea is that we just built on a little bit more. And we went from the outdoors to the indoors. Here's the indoor piece. We had 2 classrooms that we took over and then made into the agriculture and environmental laboratories. Here's another element to it. Again, looking at that hands-on piece and being able to engage all levels of learners. A lot of times schools will talk with us in regards to being able to just have something that's not as intense from this. If you're talking about a school garden, a lot of times people are thinking production garden, but we try to expand that to thinking from an environmental standpoint as well. So putting in birding gardens and the elements to be able to have our students do a different type of observation. Talking about diversity of how we can add some of those elements of the farm into our schools. So sometimes we go in and we say, well, if you don't have a lot of space, what does it look like for you inside your school? And how can we maybe create some type of farming aspect by maybe putting in an aquaponics tank or using greens that you're growing and then doing dehydration or composting and vermiculture. So again, kind of looking across the board of all these different ways that we can talk about agriculture and actually how it gets into their classroom. Other pieces here, I should probably just stop. Bella, do you want me to pause or do you want me to keep going? I just have a few more slides to go through.
I think you're good on time. You can keep going, yeah.
Excellent. So here's just kind of going back to some of the career technology students, but also really kind of delving into outside of the trades, but talking about the arts. So here our focus is using some welding students, but also collaborating with art students, where these projects can be done back at their school, and then bringing those students and their projects here to the farm and placing them here. So we have some welded art that will be happening this year. We put our order in for all the different things that we would like to be able to see. And when we think about our students, we don't want to just kind of forget about them once we're done with the school year. We want them to continue to come back to the farm as adults. We want them to come back with their families and be able to share with them a piece that they had contributed here to the farm. So we're looking to continue to add those elements in. Some welded art through the little small figurines that are being created by students. And some of these pieces we actually can sell through the farm store. And I'll kind of go back to the farm store for a moment. Our goal is to actually open up 5 farm stores around the district where we're taking elements of what we have here and then engaging those pieces into those schools so they can manage their own entrepreneurial piece there at their school. And it doesn't have to be on the high school level. It can very easily be integrated on the elementary level, whether it is food products or even just simply, making pieces or taking raw items here from the farm, and like birdseed, for example, right? Birdseed is made up of a variety of different seeds. We can produce that here in the farm, take it into the schools, and then they make and bag and sell their own birdseed. So we're always trying to think about ways in which we can continue to connect our students, no matter where they are across the district, connect them to the farm and then back to their school again. Some carpentry projects that we have kind of in the queue for this year is cornhole, so we can have it here on the farm, as well as being able to sell some of those items. We have a huge house here on the farm that right now is closed. It's called the Manor House. And my ultimate goal is to open that house back up again. Unfortunately, the termites ate the floor out. So we're in the process of trying to get that house restored. It is a historical house. But I always tell people when they come here to the farm, I want you to imagine coming and looking out across the fields and being able to sit and have your tea or coffee and little biscuits or crumpets or something of that nature that the students produce, but and then they're actually able to serve to the community like on a Saturday morning. So with that, that idea, being able to have some of the elements kind of added in. So we have a carpentry project where they're taking old barrels and producing or making tabletops for them to produce these outdoor tables to kind of go along with that bucolic idea of being able to be here on the farm. Hardscaping, we have students that we have through a training process or training program of learning how to do hardscaping. So we have projects here on the farm. We're trying to use the farm as the place that we get to practice. And then we take those students into schools across the district who maybe want to have a garden installed, and then maybe they need a little path put in. So now they're able to go into those schools to do that hardscaping element. So we have a partnership with one of our schools that is a K-8. And the idea is to do just that, create a garden, which we started last year. And then this summer coming up in 2023, we'll be putting the hardscaping element into it. And then just some more carpentry pieces that we want to be able to add into the farm, as well as things that we can sell as well. So again, all of those pieces kind of put together is what we kind of deem the farm, right? So the farm being inclusive for students coming here to the farm, as well as being out into the schools across the district themselves. So just finish my story. That's kind of how we get to our number of 30,000. Like I said before, I've been here for about 18 years. I'm very passionate about the farm. I really feel as though agriculture is something that when it touches any individual, it changes their life. My ultimate goal here at the district is to be able to touch every single student across the city of Philadelphia with agriculture in some way, shape, or form. So before I retire, I have 12 years left. My goal is to be able to reach all of those students in some way, shape, or form by developing a program that can be carried on by all of our administrators and teachers, and whoever touches the farm can take that message out. So that's my story. Can I entertain any questions from anybody?
Thank you so much. Yes, Aileen had a question. Do you want to ask it yourself, or I can also?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Manna. That was a great presentation. I really I've never been to the farm and I love learning about it. I hope to get there one day. My question was really, I was really interested in the Ag Empowerment Program you were talking about for training teachers. And I wanted to know if you had to be a science teacher, if you had to be actively teaching to participate in the program, like what the criteria was for that.
No. So we open it up to anyone. So you don't have to be a science teacher. It just happens to be a lot of depending on how the schools are developed, we tend to have a lot of science teachers that do come in, but you don't have to be.
Okay, great. Do you have to be a certified, I used to be a certified teacher in the district, but my certs have expired. I'm a stay-at-home mom at the moment, but looking to rejoin the teaching workforce at some point in the future. I've been working on as a volunteer at my child's preschool right now, doing a pollinator garden. But is it open to folks like me, or do you have to actually be a district employee?
No, you can really, it's just about kind of communicating with me if you want to engage in that program. And our next session that we'll have is in early spring. So we'll bring back in some of the teachers that have already been here before. In March, we'll do this. And then for one whole week, you just pick one day out of the week. You come in, you'll hear some teachers that have been here before, and they'll share some of their experiences. And then we'll have brand new teachers as well. And again, it's any grade level of teacher or educator. And I say that because, so like our on-site educator here, she's actually not a certified teacher. So, you know, she can also kind of share with you some of her experiences. And there is a big difference from being in the classroom where you're very regimented,
Right.
right? So you would have a better understanding of what it looks like to have your like the standards that have to be met, and then kind of like to the world of where the educator is, and talking about, like, she'll kind of talk about all the different opportunities that are here on the farm, and then we just kind of make that connection, right? And that blend of those pieces together.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a really helpful question too. I was kind of wondering the same thing about that program because it sounds so cool. And if people who aren't teachers get involved in that way, is that something where, like, how does it play out if they don't have like an actual classroom that they're bringing? Is there another way for them to get involved with students through the farm?
Sure. So we have a ton of volunteering opportunities here on the farm. I will kind of put a plug in for, we call them substitute farmers, but that's just a title that the district gives them. So the unfortunate part is it is only a part-time position, but from the standpoint of knowing that we're always building and expanding our gardens, we are always looking for individuals, and especially as we get closer to the like spring months, and I say spring more like February and March, for someone to kind of step into the role of being able to help manage our gardens and prepping for the garden piece, the greenhouse. There's so many ways in which you can become involved, whether it's filling a part-time position here or coming in as a volunteer here on the farm. So with that said, even if you're strictly doing something with the gardens, it always ties back to the students in some way, shape, or form. So we try to work with all volunteers that do come in. We have some volunteers that are like, I want to do all the prepping, but I really don't want to have to engage with the little kids. And that's totally fine. We get that. And we appreciate all of the help that we're able to get from individuals. So I always feel like there's so many pieces in which we can kind of put people into a place that helps them, right, accomplish what they want to professionally, or, you know, within their, you know, within what their need is, as well as for us as well.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions? I saw that we had a lot of folks from Greener Partners sign up, and I'm wondering if anybody from Greener Partners is here or not. I think Jen it was, but she had to leave early. So I was interested if there was anybody who had any thoughts about like interest and involvement in that way. But otherwise, yeah. Anybody else? Oh yeah, Aileen has another question, but if anybody else has one, do you prefer they go first? Okay, Aileen, I think you can go ahead.
Yeah, I guess my main question is, I'm familiar just in passing it with like Saul Agriculture School in the school district, but I was just wondering if you knew of other agricultural, gardening, horticulture programs throughout the school district or in Philly. I mean, I'm in South Philly, and so the idea of coming up to the farm is awesome, but it's also, an hour away. And even I was thinking about like, oh, can I get my daughter's preschool to like take a trip to see it? They did just go to Shady Brook Farm, so it's not like they're unable to take like a long bus ride. But I was just wondering if you know of any other places like this. Like I said, I kind of know about Saul, but I'm just thinking in my mind it'd be so cool to have a program like this in different areas of the city, like in West Philly and South Philly and Southwest Philly, like FDR Park and around like Tinicum and Southwest, things like that.
You mean like for you, for for like engagement, like for yourself or for your?
For students in the school district, for it to be like for the city and the district to roll out more programs that sort of like use Fox Chase as a model and try to create that model in other areas of the city so that it's even more accessible to like all of our students, you know, more readily, you know,
Sure.
less transportation.
Yep. So, so the Ag Empowerment Program, for example, so when I talk about busing, we use what's called off-peak busing. So when the school buses go out and they bring kids into the school, there's a lag between when all the kids are dropped off and then when they have to be picked up to go back out again, right? So that in-between period is the off-peak busing. So we have schools from across the whole district. So if we, I'm not sure how you're familiar with like a school named Moffett and Ludlow. So they're like more towards like Fishtown area, I guess, like over into that direction, down to Mastbaum, and we bring in West Philly, for example. So we have we have a pretty vast number of schools around. They're not, my point is they're not localized here to the farm, right? So we're able to bring those schools in and be a part of the Ag Empowerment Program. We haven't necessarily done a huge like announcement out to the whole district. So it's kind of one of those like funny things. We are the district, right? We're a part of the district, but not many people know that we're a part of the district. Like one of those best kept secrets. And it's not meant to be a secret. It's really with the idea that we are continuing to develop. So as principals, and I'm a principal. So when I go to principal meetings and I sit in I move around to all what we call regions or networks, and then I'll talk about the farm. And then when people raise their hand to say, hey, that's really kind of cool, I would like to become involved in that, then we go through the process of engaging the principal, of course, of their school into the farm. So we do try to make sure that we are going across the district. The reverse of how we're doing it, and I said the reverse. So the idea is that it's more of a personal contact of how we're engaging versus saying, oh, here's this free program, and then everyone signs up for a free program, and then it just becomes something that's not necessarily as personalized. We try to really work with our principals and their schools to personalize like what we do. When schools aren't able to come all the way here because of the length of travel for their students, then we try to go into them. So for example, Pinnell was one of the schools that I had shown like the pollinating garden. So when a school raises their hand, they will typically go to the grants department and say, hey, is there a grant that I could apply for a school garden? And then the grants department says, hey, if you're applying for a grant, I really want you to call Mandy and I want you to learn more about what it's like to have a garden. So one of the key supports that we provide over the summer is we will work with schools that are putting school gardens in. We will work with them to have them as a site that we will go and help manage their garden for them over the summer. Because the worst thing as a teacher coming back in September is looking at a garden that is overgrown, right? So we try to have an approach of either helping to manage the garden with them, either on a full-time basis over the summer, or maybe it's a part-time basis where the principal might have a set of families that want to be involved. So then they assign, or they have the families sign up to be farmers over the summer. So for one whole week, they get to harvest whatever there is out of the gardens. And then the trade-off is that they're weeding for that week and they're watering and so on. We also try to have that time period over the summer where, let's say, for example, a teacher wants to make sure that they have certain things growing in the fall, right? The downside of being in Pennsylvania, our zone isn't real compatible for, growing during the school year because everything's, nice and juicy, like those tomatoes, right? They're fun to see, but they're, growing and producing over the summer months. So what we try to do is try to come in and plant certain things that they will actually have harvest when they come in September and October. So that means we're in their gardens over that summer period, getting in to the school itself and getting it prepped and planted and whatever. So so a number of different ways, but I will say we're terrible at advertising about what we do. But this on this other hand, if we really advertise what we did to the whole entire district, we probably wouldn't have as high quality of individuals coming in because they're kind of seeking us out. And we also don't really have the staff. So we rely heavily on volunteers for here on the farm, as well as actually trying to take some of them into our schools to help support our schools. So long answer to a short question.
Thank you. No, that's a lot of really good info. Yeah, I'm just seeing that overall there's like, and I'm part of it, there's a big demand for and a request for more gardening and farming, and especially in our urban area, but there's a big lag in staffing, funding. I mean, this is no surprise, but that's what I was thinking. It would be cool if there were a fox chase model, but in different areas of the city, so that you wouldn't be stuck trying to like have the capacity to serve the entire school district like this, but rather, you know, there could be a model where there was one in each like quarter of the city or what have you, because it is hard getting interested in urban agriculture and like education in urban agriculture, and seeing that so much of it lives in these big swaths of land that are not accessible to most of our students in the city. So I do love that you're going in and trying to like work with the small spaces creatively. That's really cool. And also I know someone who is trying to manage a school garden at the Key School in South Philly and is having a really difficult time because there's no support. So I mean, maybe she's someone I could connect to you all for ideas. Because yeah, they're drowning in trying to do this over and above their actual job, you know.
Right. Matter of fact, someone I'm just trying to think. So the Key School did come up in a discussion recently. So I don't know where they are in from like an overall school point.
Yeah.
Because we really need the schools to, one, leadership has to be understanding, right, of what's all encompassing, so then we can help provide some of those support pieces. But I believe he also has a pretty good like home and school program that I believe they're trying to rope in to help with that piece. So so yeah, I mean, you are more than welcome to pass my information on. I love meeting with whether it's the home and schools or, you know, the teachers that are involved with it. But all in all, we do want to be kind of like a resource center for all of our schools. Absolutely. So we have other individuals, Bella, that you mentioned here. Does anyone kind of want to share out like where you're from and what you're doing at your like through your career?
I'll share out. Hello, my name is Pender and I am with the district. I work in pre-K office. I work in social services and with parents. And so I've worked with Dr. Mandy with the Pratt School Garden in North Philadelphia. Unfortunately, we don't have that space anymore, but it was a wonderful project. And for others who would like to bring that to their school, as well as had the opportunity to volunteer at the farm on like a fall harvest event. And I was able to work with the children planting corn, which I did not think I wanted to work with the children, but it was great. So if you, for everybody out there, the farm is not that accessible for someone who lives in the middle of the city, but it is also an opportunity that I really implore you to take advantage of. Like, get out there, go see it. You go see it and volunteer, or take your children. And so my goal here, though, is to start some gardening with the parents. I am at 2 different schools. I'll be transitioning to a new position where I'll be at 11 different schools, and I would like to get these parents involved in gardening in order to engage them in a different way. So nice to see you again, Mandy. Nice to see some of the other people that I know on the call from other programs. And I hope to see you all weeding or something.
That's so exciting. It's been ages since I have seen you that I was just as you're speaking, I'm like, oh my gosh, that yeah, super exciting. And on the pre-K level, absolutely tap me over the winter months and let's see what we can do, because there is so much opportunity. My hope and dream is that we can develop more, I'll put like air quotes, right? Like other fox chase farms like around the district. I have 2 locations that are in mind. I am working with our operations department right now on trying to figure those out. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as, the dream in my head really is, but I know that it's possible. And there is so much urban ag that does go on around the whole city that, I'm hoping at one point we can start really collaborating with some of those farms. And I'm just trying, I can't really think of some names off the top of my head. Like down by the airport, I had gone down and visited with some individuals who, they had these huge farms. Like it was like in the middle of nowhere almost, but they were bringing in school students. And, I think we can have, outside of the district, we can easily have these partnerships where we can help those types of urban farms add the educational element in, so we can help that connection happen more easily. I guess that might be the way to express it. But great.
I had a suggestion too for Eileen. In the Southwest area, Dr. Mandy just reminded me there is a farm called Sankofa Farm on Bartram's Garden. So that might be accessible, or a little
Definitely.
closer to you.
Yeah, you're so right.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And they're awesome.
They are awesome. I follow them on Instagram. I grew up in Southwest Philly, a little further, even closer to the airport, but I love seeing folks using the larger expanse of land down there to, for this purpose. That's why I think it would be an awesome area of the city, kind of like in the exact opposite direction of Fox Chase, to do something similar to what you're doing. And then you're kind of splitting the difference for kids in the city to, like, kids from West Philly could probably get there a little easier, et cetera. So it'd be cool if the school district, I know to say the school district's like, strapped for resources is an understatement, but it'd be cool if they really are into this to put the resources behind it for something like that in the future. I would love to see that and be part of it.
Yeah, I this is a really interesting discussion, because I do feel like, especially with the ag empowerment program, there, it seems like there could be a way to train some teachers who are more local to be able to do some of that work some of the work that they're learning how to do, like teaching in the classroom, teaching on the farm, but then have them be at like a partnered urban farm like Ruth Bennett Community Farm or Sankofa, or there's so many community gardens. And I think part of it is like balancing like that community garden model with like a more structured educational plan. And that takes a lot of resources and is really hard to do it, but both I think are really needed. Yeah. So it's just exciting. Thank you, Pinder and Aileen, like hearing both of you talk and your inputs, like really, really helpful to think about. And I think we're pretty much at time here. Thank you so much, Dr. Mandy. And yeah, for everybody for coming. I'm gonna send out an email with the Survey Monkey, as well as Dr. Mandy's information for connecting about resources, and also some information about connecting, who to connect with about school trips. And yeah, I would really appreciate if you could fill out the Survey Monkey. It helps us with the grant work that is funding these webinars. And is there anything else? I don't think so. Thank you all so much.
Great. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. This was awesome.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
So I'm gonna send you the presentation if you want to just send it out to everybody. I made a few, I think from when I sent it to you, I just made a couple of changes. So I'm just gonna send you the most recent one.
Okay, great. That reminds me, I'm also going to send the recording, which I should probably stop right now.